You know what I feel like that's not talked about enough? These women who get these men in committed relationships or marriages, which are worse, and then they don't want to sleep with them. So you telling me that I committed myself to you and you don't want to sleep with me, but I also can't sleep with no other woman. Crazy work to me. And a lot of times they use sleeping with them as a reward system. They weaponize it. Oh, okay, you took the car to get a car wash, you got the oil change, you cut the grass, okay, you paid all the bills, okay, you helped me with the kids, and you cleaned up. I guess I can give you something.
If you let 4 weeks pass without sleeping with your husband, don't complain to me about his attitude. You know why he has an attitude. Your husband needs to have sex. It's a need, not a want. Need.
This might make you angry, but a sexless marriage is a dead marriage. Don't sugarcoat it.
I feel like as a married woman, I completely understand the sex drought. It's so easy to fall into a sex drought or fall into that season in your marriage where it's just sexless because ain't nobody needs being met.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about it today, my friends, the sexless marriage. I get approximately 8 calls per month, and in those relationships, if the couple are married, it's 90% of these calls are based on sexless marriages. 90. Listen, I'm going on 20 years now. My wife just hit 56. She's going through menopause now, but so there was a lull. But the biggest lull for us came during the first childbirth. After the first child came and the second child came, then sex drive sort of dropped. Not mine, hers. Now, I share this with you because I think it's important for us to talk about the serious things, you know. I mean, we're back now. We're good because we had a conversation and we had the discussion and we talk about it because my sex drive, even as I get older, hasn't really dropped because I really take good care of myself physically. I lift weights daily. That in turn keeps my testosterone level high. Therefore, my demand and desire for sexual activity is high. But that's not the same thing that is occurring with a woman. We have to keep in mind that after childbirth, sex drive for a woman drops. It's natural. She has just produced a child. So the amount of estrogen, etc., isn't as high for her because she's already accomplished the task of childbirth, right? So, gentlemen, we have to understand when it will occur. So we have to be cognizant of the biological reasons that a woman's sex drive might drop. Sex for men is much more important than it is for women. We have to get that in our heads. But ladies, I want you to think like this. If sex is important for the man and you know that, and you're going to use your lack of wanting to give it to him because you don't feel like, let's equate that to his responsibility as a man. If he said, I don't feel like working or I don't feel like protecting, I don't feel like doing this shit today, because I don't feel like doing it. Isn't that a fair exchange when he says, yeah, I don't feel like giving you any allowance. I don't feel like putting anything into the house today or doing anything around the house. Is that a fair way of looking at a relationship? And the answer is no. The answer is hell no. And I have said this in many, many of my videos. Anytime you are in a relationship, regardless of whether it's a marriage or whether long-term relationship, etc., both parties have to contribute, even when they don't feel like contributing, because that's what relationships are. A relationship is that you must contribute to your partner's satisfaction and happiness, just like you expect it from your partner as well. But unfortunately, we live in a society that constantly tells women that, no, they don't have to contribute. If you don't feel like your body, your choice, you don't have to. And then you wonder when the man steps out to fulfill his needs, you don't take any responsibility for that at all. Men need sex. It's not like they want sex. They need sex. It's a biological urge that is very difficult to suppress as men, simply because our biology is different than yours. And you have to be empathetic to the man's needs. So, my friends, that's what we're going to get into today. Listen. Hit that like button, please. Subscribe if you haven't already to this channel. Over here, I like to talk facts. I like to give it to you straight. But I like to keep it clean. I like to keep it sophisticated enough without it being boring. Because the reality of it is, man, some of these subjects we have to discuss as adults, without the whole ratchet, highly over-sexualized way of explaining problems. So this was a discussion I found on Facebook. So I don't have the link for it. But obviously, this woman, Monica Algayur, she hosted Karen. She's the Happy Wives Club. Karen's always candid about just bringing information that is pure common sense information that, women can identify with, especially married women. Let's get into it.
Why do you think it is that women do not want to sleep with their husbands?
Good question. This question I get a lot is that we've used sex as a tool to get the marriage. So once we get the marriage, then and we know we've secured the man and we've secured a good man who's going to be loyal and not leave. We didn't have sex from the beginning out of a genuine interest in sex for having the sake of having sex and what we call it making love. That wasn't the purpose. It was an agenda to get the marriage, to get the man. So once we have that, it was a means to an end to believe it's a woman's hormones that change or something going on with her biologically. And while those things are true and that we go through biological changes and hormonal differences, it isn't due to those external factors. It's that we've never learned as women to truly enjoy sex for the experience of ourselves. We've had sex for the man. We've done what we thought we needed to do to impress a man or get the man, and we put on a show. And so we've never learned to slow down and have sex as an experience of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more complex than that. Listen, I've covered this in my book extensively, where and why women have problems with sexual activity once they are now committed in a monogamous relationship, right? But we also have to consider that men and women bond differently. I'll read this quick chapter. Why men and women bond differently. Men generally bond through loyalty, shared struggle, respect, sexual exclusivity, time, and investment. Women generally bond through emotional safety, consistency, presence, masculine stability, and sexual intimacy. Now, here's the uncomfortable part. A man can have multiple sexual partners and still bond strongly later. A woman usually pays more of a bonding cost as her partner count rise. I try to keep it diplomatic, okay? So as her body count rises, she bonds differently. Now, this doesn't make her ruined. It does mean her ability to attach deeply and simply may be affected. The modern slogan, sex is just sex, does not really apply to women. Now, the whole sex is just sex may be an empowering, emotional statement, but biologically, it is not true for most women. Her body has a different opinion. This is what you call the stability paradox. Healthy relationships are predictable, steady, emotionally safe. But if a woman has spent years bonding to drama and intensity, then stability feels strange, even wrong, when she's in a marriage. So she sits in a good relationship and feels less adrenaline, less fear, less chaos. And because this is unfamiliar, she labels it boring, missing something, not passionate enough. She's not actually bored with the man. She's bored with a healthy calm. Her nervous system has never lived there before. So why does this matter to men? As a man, this knowledge protects you. You stop blaming yourself for her mental wars and thinking, if I was just hotter, richer, funnier, she'd stay. No. You have to stop blaming yourself, gentlemen. This is her problem because you're competing with all of her exes, not just one guy. You're competing with all of her experiences. So you're taking her confusion as proof that you're inadequate. So you start vetting her history with clearer eyes, recognizing when her imprinting is too chaotic. I talked about imprinting previously. Deciding whether her nervous system can adapt to stability. Setting boundaries around your time, energy, and commitment. You understand her past doesn't automatically disqualify her, but it absolutely affects how she bonds and for how long and how deeply. This isn't a moral judgment. It's physics. A woman trained on chaos is instantly striving peace. A man who's never led to instantly become a leader? No. Everyone has something to unlearn. Your job is to see clearly the biology, the patterns, the operating system, not the story that she tells you, not the excuses, not the confusion, the biology, gentlemen. You got to understand the biology. Always start there. So that was in chapter 3. And if you guys really understand how this shit works and you look at it objectively, you will stop this idea that it's you. Because men tend to take it on themselves that it's me that's not able to satisfy her. No, my friend, you're competing with all of the different illusions that she's created for herself, whether it's real or imaginary. Because women also take the men that she hasn't been with and she wants to be with, men that she read about in magazines, men that she saw in all the rom-coms. All of these different images for a woman becomes a character that you cannot, I repeat, not compete against. So when you're vetting a woman, you have to think and ask the correct questions of whether this woman is so influenced by all of these other ghosts that I cannot see, and whether I'm going to be competing against them in the future. You have to vet properly before you commit, because she is looking to trap you with that punani. You cannot get blinded by a piece of punani just to end up with a nightmare when she do the whole switch up. Because I can tell you, my friends, if she has been around, the chances of you being in a sexless marriage is extremely high. All right, let's go back to Karen, Happy Wife Club.
That actually really allows us to get to know ourselves as women and that softness and feminine and nurturing side. And so it's been a tool. Again, kind of going way back to our beginning of our conversation, Monica, and that radical responsibility. I have to see as women, one, my desire and interest in sex is not as high as a man's, that's a biological difference in us and a matter of what's most important to us in a relationship. I often say it's going to be 1, 2, or 3 for a man in a marriage. It might not even be on the top list of 10 of what's important to us in a marriage as women. So we have to meet each other and find that dance and those differences. And what I teach women of all age ranges, whether they're going through menopause or hormonal changes or had children or anything that we can create a story around, is no, you have to look at yourself. That learning to enjoy sex and engage in sex in your marriage is just a choice, so we can take the complications out of it.
Yeah, and that's the discussion that my wife and I came to. But once she realized that once we started it, once she gave it a chance and she started, she enjoyed it once we were in it. You ladies have to understand that if your biology isn't automatically leading you towards it, start it. Work on, I got to please my husband. He's a good man. I'm here to please him and make sure that he feels good. If that becomes your primary goal and you start to enjoy the process of pleasing your husband, which in turn pleases you, and you see the rewards of that coming back to you, then you should use that as a stimulus. Oh, look at the smile on his face. Oh, look at when he looks at me. Oh, look how turned on he get by me. Use that as a catalyst to turn yourself on. You have to use different tools. If your hormones aren't giving you that initial jump on him. But once he starts stimulating you, once you start getting that D inside you and you're waking up, then you got to realize, all right, let me get into this. Yeah, some days you're not going to feel like it, but you still got to do what you got to do. Because that's what relationships are all about. The man is going to get up and do what he has to do to take care of his family if he's happy. And nothing makes a man happier than actually just having his wife give herself to him.
And we can come back to know this is part of a healthy marriage, and it's a gift I give myself that my husband gets to benefit from that is very important to him, and learn to enjoy it for ourselves. And then it just becomes a choice. And even if I'm not feeling in the mood, or even if something hormonal is going on, I can slow down internally and be in control of that in myself and know this is a healthy aspect of me as a woman, and something that is absolutely a healthy part of a marriage, that without it, it can't be healthy. And I blew up my channel when I said once a week. is a healthy commitment to come together in those differences as a good man and a woman, and a good man being very reasonable, very open to compromise. It's like, that would be wonderful.
Right.
Like, that would be really great.
Yeah, I know some guys do freaking once every 6 months. Once every 6 months, they get laid from their wives. Think about that shit. That's an extreme. The usual standard is once a month. One gentleman went 3 years without his wife giving him anything, and their marriage is on the verge of just collapsing right now. 3 years, no sex, 2 kids. He can't walk. Got too much invested, he says. What do I tell that guy? I said, dude, you have to get it somewhere else. She has broken the covenant of the marriage. You have every right to go and fulfill your needs elsewhere, because that's not what you signed up for.
This might make you angry, but a sexless marriage is a dead marriage. Don't sugarcoat it. I'm John DeBach, a relationship coach, and I've helped thousands of couples reignite their connection. And here's the raw truth. When physical intimacy disappears, the relationship starts dying from the inside out. You can call it a rough patch. You can blame work, stress, kids, hormones. But if months go by with no touch, no affection, no desire, you're not in a marriage. You're in a contract. Physical closeness isn't just about attraction. It's about emotional safety. It's about vulnerability and connection. And when that disappears, so does everything else. Laughter, kindness, patience, even basic respect. You can lie to yourselves and say it's not a big deal, but deep down, both of you know it. Both of you feel it. If you disagree, go ahead, but I've watched too many couples pretend this wasn't the beginning of the absolute bitter end. Follow for more truths that hurt a little, but heal a lot.
Yeah, brother's telling the truth. Reality of it is that you have to do what you have to do, ladies, in order to keep your marriage alive. Because once it starts dying or dead, it's harder to resurrect it. Identify the symptoms that are happening right now and nip it in the bud.
I feel like as a married woman, I completely understand the sex drought. It's so easy to fall into a sex drought or fall into that season in your marriage where it's just sexless because ain't nobody needs being met. Okay, think about it this way. If you require emotional connection, mental stimulation, right? You want intimacy, like you want to be vulnerable, and then you marry somebody who is the complete opposite, not vulnerable, don't really care to understand like real intimacy is very logical and always based in reality, like it's either black or white, and you communicate this to your spouse. You communicate, hey, I need this. I'm more of a mental stimulation. I'm more vulnerable. I'm more passionate with a lot of things. And their way of dealing with things is just like being dismissive. I don't care.
Listen, lady, I hear excuses here. Reality of it is no two couples should get married to each other if they're not sexually compatible. Do not sign up for a relationship where you know that one party finds sex more important than the next one and you're not sexually compatible. He's not emotionally connected, or you are and he is, or it doesn't, if it does not work sexually, do not get married. If there's any cracks at all before you sign that piece of paper, you need to fix those cracks, because the second the paper is signed, somebody is going to get more complacent in the marriage because it's, I got it now. I got him now. She's mine now. We're in it. So it doesn't get any better if you don't fix it before you sign that contract. That's the equivalent of saying, hey, I want to have a business partner. I noticed that he steals a little bit, but not enough to actually make me turn off. So I'm still going to go into business with him. That shit don't make sense, does it? So you wouldn't do that in a marriage. Identify the problems, work it out, fix that before you even think about getting married. And then, of course, you have the dishonest part that we need to take a serious look at, because a lot of people are getting married for dishonest reasons. Women are getting married for the security. These are the women that are just absolute nightmares to deal with. And they are content creators, and a lot of different channels out there that are telling women how to deceive men, how to treat them like crap, how to use sex as a weapon in the marriage just so that they can secure more finances. Shira 7 here.
So Shira 7 did a video and said, you don't have to sleep with your husband. And she said that in the context of denying your husband intimacy, forcing him to cheat or seek intimacy elsewhere, and then divorce him and take all of his money or take half of it. And I'm going to say something to men right now. I just broke up with a woman. We had a breakup because one of the reasons was she didn't want to sign a prenuptial agreement. I worked too hard in my life to achieve what I've achieved for you to come and split it 50-50 with me. And for you to withhold intimacy with me in a monogamous relationship and then think that you're going to split half? No. Put all your stuff, men, in your mom's name. Put it in a living trust. Make them sign a prenuptial agreement. Make it ironclad. When you get married, own nothing. You guys gonna buy a house? She's got to put into that house, buy it together. She wants a new car? She's got to put into it, buy it together. This whole provision situation is done. It's really done. And the reason why it's done is because you have women like Shira 7 that's basically organizing fraud. Basically organizing a crime, a conspiracy to commit fraud. Because if you are marrying someone, you want them to be monogamous, and then you're holding back intercourse. That's fraud. You married them under the pretext that we were going to be intimate. And now you don't want to be intimate so that you can steal money. Put stuff in your mom's name, get a living trust, do whatever you got to do, but make them sign that prenuptial agreement.
I've told you that many times, gentlemen. Many times. Prenup, trust. Those two documents are your financial spare parachute. Because marriage is literally jumping out of a plane, my friend. You better make sure you have a good parachute and a backup parachute, just in case the first one fails. Trust and a prenup. If the prenup fails, the trust will hold something back for you. You own nothing. And always make sure that she is working. Do not ever make her feel that she should stay home and take care of the kids. Those days are done, my friend. It's unfortunate, but those days are done. Because once she stays home, she is now employed by you. And once she's employed by you, you have to pay her alimony when she decides to leave. That means she could stay her ass home, get D down by any other man out there, and you still got to be paying her money. And you'll also lose your kids. Don't ever put yourself in that situation. Personally, if you don't want to open yourself up to that, you literally just have an agreement where you have a cohabitation agreement. I have a document. If you guys want to copy the document, drawn up by 2 attorneys, I will gladly send it to you. Just email me, paul@askanolderman.com, and I will ship that off to you. I've sent that to hundreds of men. It's not a complex document. It's just an agreement that you get signed by both people and witnessed by 2 other people or a justice of the peace or an attorney. Simple. It's not difficult. Just have an agreement and you cohabitate. All right? So, my friends, listen, I'm going to lock it off there. Let's have a discussion in the comment section. Book a session if you need any help from the older man. And, of course, give me a like on this video. And until tomorrow, my friends, remember, whenever in doubt, always ask an older man. I'll see you soon. Cheers.